I am particularly nasal today. I've no idea why. I'm questioning whether it's because when I'm going to work, I don't tend to sleep. I didn't sleep Thursday night, I didn't sleep Friday night, and then last night, well, I'm not even at work today, and it was a wash. You look as though you're going to fall down, as in the camera, the phone. One day, I am going to get a tripod that I can put my phone on, but today is not that day. Should I shift back a bit? I feel like my hat is out of frame. Ugh, look at that. It's no better. I chose not to clear up the mess today. And yeah, everywhere I look is just more and more mess. So, hi everyone. My name is Charlie, and today I'm going to be talking about nothing in particular. Shall we start with Saturday and work our way backwards? Because last night, a lot of people saw some news regarding tier and the tier systems in England that have led to a lot more people being understandably upset and dismayed. It's not nice, and I really feel for the people who had perhaps made plans who have had to rearrange. Personally, nothing much was going to change in my house. There's 5 of us. We weren't going to be having anyone come and visit anyway. My brother, who lives about 40 minutes away, he had already made plans for him and his daughter, and the other brother was in Northumberland, so the family had really sorted itself out. So whilst there are no changes for me, I do feel for the people who've had to make changes so quickly, but I hope that they're able to still find some of the joy and happiness that they are perhaps searching for at this time of year. It's difficult because I think for a lot of people, they still put a huge focus on Christmas Day as being a day to celebrate and to connect with people you haven't spoken to in a long while. And I think that New Year, they're putting a lot of focus on because they're thinking things can only get better in 2021, 2021, whatever you want to call it. I don't know yet. This focus on the future is something that I haven't done because I'm aware of how anxious worrying about the future made me in the past. So I did kind of start becoming a person who takes each day as it comes. So then last night we had the Strictly final, and it didn't go the way I expected it to. I'll admit that. But to be honest, the people I'd wanted to win had gone out of it weeks ago. So this time I was just like, oh, well, let anybody have it. So when the winner did win, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you got it. Well done. I think I've only been watching it this year because it felt like a bit of stability, and it was one of the only shows I watched. It's strange that most of the television I've watched this year and enjoyed has been reality TV show competitions. We basically had an entire year of Drag Race this year. We had RuPaul's Drag Race season 12, then we went straight into All Stars 5. I didn't get to watch Drag Race Holland like I'd hoped to, but we did get Drag Race Canada. I never finished watching that because, well, one person I particularly wanted to see in the final, I got it spoiled for me that they weren't there, so I stopped watching about episode 5, and I keep meaning to go back. I do, but I just haven't yet. So maybe that's something I'll do while I've got a bit of a break over Christmas before the new series of Drag Race starts. And then we moved into Strictly Come Dancing, which is basically kind of like drag in itself with all of the costumes and the flamboyancy. So that was Saturday. I will admit that yesterday morning I did end up telling somebody off. So I got to work and I had to get some of our donations out of the container where we keep them in quarantine for a few days before we bring them into the shop. I did this, and the wind was up, and it was raining a bit, so my hair was a mess by the time I actually got back into the shop. Someone came in, and they touched my hair, and I told them off with regards to social distancing. So as a joke, they chose to put their hand against my face. So then they got a right royal rollicking. I won't deny it. I told them about social distancing, we're in a pandemic, and the fact that I have been self-isolating myself since March because of trying to protect members of my family, and I don't care how old this person is and the fact that they've been self-isolating as well. I can guarantee they haven't been doing it as well as I have, who hasn't even visited another shop since March. And yes, I know I went out the other day for these drinks with work, but where we were, there was nobody else because we'd booked quite early, so nobody else was coming in. We were distant from everyone we hadn't worked with before, and I know for a fact that 2 of the people there had recently had COVID tests after, certain things had happened within their own families. So I knew that I was really as safe as I could be going there on Wednesday night. So for this person to do this really angered me. Some people talk about how they've had enough of this now, and it's like, yeah, I think a lot of us have had enough of this. There are people we know through YouTube who haven't left their homes in a really long time, who haven't seen family members or friends in months since before the first national lockdown. I think they might have been a bit fed up of it a lot longer than us. It's a minefield, and I don't want to add fuel to any sort of fire by getting frustrated or getting annoyed. I think that the general mood has been in this country for a while, this great separation and divide between people. I hinted towards it yesterday when I talked about the fact that on the radio they were talking about UNICEF choosing to give money to poorer families in this country or whatever it was, and how people were saying it wasn't their idea of poverty on the radio. And it really angered me, because if your idea of someone being impoverished or poor is that they have to have no home to live in, they have to have their kids on the street in cardboard boxes and wearing rags. This isn't a Victorian novel. It's possible to be living below the breadline and still have a home and still have a television. They're like basic things nowadays. You could go to a charity shop and buy a television for 20 quid. Now, yes, I'm not saying that people need a television. I'm saying that we need to stop giving this idea that because somebody has something that you view as a luxury, it doesn't mean that it is. You really want people to be living completely destitute lives, not having the heating on, staying in one room in their house, like sharing a tin of baked beans or mushy peas or something cheap and 17 pence from Tesco, or any other supermarket that exists, really. You expect the children to be constantly ill and lice-ridden. You want a view of poverty that's being presented to you because you have an idea of what it looks like to be less fortunate, despite the fact you've never been less fortunate yourself. I find it really hard to stomach. I have known what it is to be poor. I still know. And it's difficult to see people with really outdated ideas spouting forth when they really have no knowledge of what they're talking about. Or Facebook has told them one thing and they're refusing to look at the bigger picture and see where these problems originated. It's very easy for people to point the finger about making lives political, because people want to be comfortable. They don't want to be challenged. It's why for so long people have perpetuated this narrative of being a white middle-aged man and being successful. It's why when you watch a Hallmark Christmas movie, you will rarely see a diverse cast. I can't be the only person who is sick of watching white middle class stories. Anyway, shall I talk about some books? I'm currently behind on all my reading. I didn't get to this week's pages of Autumn by Ali Smith, so I've missed out there. I'll go back and read the discussion points and it will get finished this week. I just haven't had the time this week. I had a chat with Sarah over at Hark for Hearts about Utopia Avenue. We are buddy reading this. We're currently at page 198 and I don't know I don't know what we're reading next. I don't know where we're reading to, but we chatted about that on Tuesday whilst I was at my grandmother's. Then we have the Lollipop shoes, which again, I have to read 250 pages today if I want to get back onto the schedule I've set for myself. Nigel Slater's The Christmas Chronicles didn't get a look in at all yesterday because I had to edit my vlog and Strictly went on until 8:20, and I hadn't edited anything this week because I said I wanted to take things easy on myself. So after 2 hours of editing, I had my weekly vlog done. That went online and I didn't read anything. I sat down, I watched back my video, I watched a few YouTube videos and I came to bed. I know that I've mentioned in my vlog that this week I should finish work on Monday. Yesterday we were leaving at 5 o'clock and I said to my manager, so when shall we three meet again? Meaning me, her and the volunteer. She said, what do you mean? I said, this is the last time we see each other before Christmas. She says, will you not come in before, like, wanting to talk about the exchange of presents? And for years, as a volunteer, I worked every Christmas Eve. I worked every Christmas from 2008 right through till 2017. 2017, I chose to come in between Christmas and New Year because of what had happened with a colleague that year. And I thought it like pertinent that they get a really good Christmas. So if Christmas is a Friday this year, it was a Wednesday last year, which means the year before, 2018, it fell on a Tuesday. So that was the year I was due to work Christmas Eve. And our shops had told us that we could choose to have half a day off, like our manager told us, area manager said about having half a day off as a reward. Thing was, we'd always used to close at 1 o'clock and it turned into this whole thing and arguments were had. And I ended up having Christmas Eve off that year. So I actually finished on the Saturday, and then I came in and I worked the Friday, the Saturday and the New Year's Eve. Whatever happened, happened. And this year, I'm finishing tomorrow. And I shouldn't be back in work until sometime. Anyway, I'm getting Christmas off is what the point of the story is. And so she's wondering why I don't want to go in and like exchange gifts. I said, I'll be bringing gifts here on Monday. I can't remember what Christmas it was, but it was the 23rd of December. I'd gone into work to have a special Christmas lunch with my manager and some volunteers. And that's 20 minutes, usually. But it was the 23rd of December. So I was leaving there, and it took me an hour to get to my friend Joy's house. I remember mentioning this in a video called Traffic. Go look for it. Beware what you see there. From taking this present to Joy, that now took me an hour, which is 40 minutes longer than it should have done, I came home and it took me another hour to get here. It's like 5 minutes away, and I've never got over that. So I have always said, as soon as I finish work for Christmas, that's it. When I get home, my car's getting locked. I'm coming into the house and I'm not leaving until Christmas has passed. I'll walk where I have to walk if I have to go anywhere. But I'm currently in the middle of... Well, I just said that as though I am the only one in the midst of this entire pandemic. And I think that that just goes to show how selfish we all are when it comes to discussing our own lives. We are in the midst of a pandemic. So walking anywhere... public. Like, I don't mind walking around the countryside on cold, wet days when nobody else is around, but when it's going to be busy, I don't particularly want to see anybody. When it's crowded, I don't want to see anyone. And like, I was like that pre-flaming pandemic. So yeah, so I'll be finishing work tomorrow. I will be coming home and I will be battening down the hatches until after Christmas has passed on Friday. It's who I am. Like I said to this person yesterday who touched my face, I have been socially distanced since 1992. I could teach people a thing or two. I'm aware that rhymed and I don't like to repeat myself, but if Blue Hydrangea can rhyme home with home, I can say two twice in the same sentence. Christmas is looking to be a quiet affair this year for everyone, but for us, it's always been a bit quiet. It's only more quieter than usual this year because we won't have all of the travelling to family members to distribute presents. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I'm not sad. I'm not outraged. I'm not happy. I might be a bit apathetic. I'm always sympathetic to what other people are going through. I always wish other people the best and that everything goes well, and I hope they're all having as brilliant times as they can be. But when it comes to myself, I always hope... No, do I even hope for the best? No. I just kind of... I just want to be, like, happy. I don't think you ever have a day that's entirely happy. I mentioned it in that video about Joy earlier this week. I don't think that there is ever a day you spend the entire time happy. I think that each day is a bit like a novel, or a film, or just to like look at it fictionalized for a second here, just for some sort of allegory. You have your highs and your lows every single day, and even in your lowest days, there can be tiny moments of happiness where you're smiling and you're able to accept that whilst you're still feeling about here and you're very glum and it seems like nothing will ever feel light again, there's still moments where someone can make you smile, even if seconds later you go back to feeling terrible. And I think in terms of Christmas, I never put too heavy a focus on trying to force happiness and trying to force joy. I think that, as I've said throughout the entirety of December, it's about, for me, celebrating the people I don't despise, giving them gifts as a way of just expressing gratitude for their existence, and hoping that we're well. I think that life is difficult enough without fighting each other. And we all have our arguments and we all have our bad days. But I think that we tend to find the people that we need and who happen to not hate us being around. I think I'm going to leave things there. I am aware that I didn't really discuss much, but I still managed to talk for a while. I hope that you got something out of this video besides sheer boredom. And until next time, that is all.